Yes, Dr. Vijay will be added to the program. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Give him a hand. You can have a hand mic there. Where's the mic?
On his lapel.
For him, a hand mic or his mic. No problem.
I got it.
Good morning, everyone. This is a great day, and we're so excited to be here with all of you. My name is Pastor Joseph Bryant, and I serve as the West Coast Field Director for Reverend Jesse Jackson, as well as the Director of our Silicon Valley Bay Area office. And let me say on behalf of Reverend Jackson and the Rainbow Push Coalition family, welcome to the Bay Area for all of our guests that are sharing from out of town and out of the area, out of the country, and wherever you may be even viewing us online. We welcome you to this special occasion. As you all know, Reverend Jesse Jackson is an international voice. He is one that speaks. He speaks hope to the hopeless all over the world. His mission for over 60 years now has been to be a champion for justice and for equality and for fairness. And in doing so, he has gathered this wonderful coalition here today as we're going around the country, ensuring that many people that we love far from here, many miles away across the water, are getting the kind of support, treatment, love, resources that they need, especially in the difficult times of the pandemic, COVID-19. And so welcome to all of our special guests on stage. We're so excited that you are here, and we appreciate the fact that you're allowing us to be a part of this great work going forward. We thank President Joe Biden, obviously, for hearing Reverend Jackson's voice and acknowledging the importance of this cause. And then to have this great coalition continue to fight boots on the ground is so significant. And so we thank all of you for being here for this press event today. Reverend Jackson has been here all week. We have been celebrating solidarity and the struggle with our wonderful Asian American family here in Chinatown and throughout the Bay Area. We are right here on the heels of Portman Square, where Reverend Jackson came nearly 4 decades ago to speak on behalf of Chinatown and the needs and to encourage people here. And so it's an exciting time. And then on the heels of all of that, today is our Juneteenth celebration here in San Francisco. And so we're excited about that. Allow me to turn the microphone over to our MC for the morning, who's going to give us some leadership today throughout the program, M.R. Rangaswami, who is the wonderful co-leader of our Sand Hill group. He's as well as our Indiaspora group. Let's give him a hand of appreciation.
Is this on? Okay. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this historic occasion. We're so privileged to have the Rainbow Push Coalition here. We're so privileged to have Reverend Jackson here. Just a few words before we get started. I just want to say that we stood up as a community, as an Indian community, when Black Lives Matter movement happened. We were one of the first ones to come out and say, and took a stand against racism. We met with pastors, we met with business leaders, we met with the community, we brought people together, and also the Indian community reached out to college students at Black colleges to bring them together. So we started that movement. And then when the Asian hate movement started again, that was terrible. We wrote an op-ed in the San Jose Mercury News, and again stood up with our Asian brethren and sisters, right? Thank you for that thunderous applause. But I think, again, we want to stand with everybody of color, but also for most of the Americans, whites and colored, who stand for justice, equality, and inclusion. And that's what we're all about as a country. America is a land for everybody, and that's what we're all about. And so we're so privileged today that Reverend Jackson is here with us, this historic day to celebrate Juneteenth. That is such an amazing honor for us. And so we're very privileged, and we want to have Reverend Jackson maybe come up now, or we will have you a little bit later. But let's just get started on the program. We want to tell everyone today about the work that the Indian American community has done around the COVID relief for India. So Indiaspora over the last year has been a collaborator, a connector, a network. And using our collaboration and networks and our own membership, we have raised over $10 million to feed Indian migrant workers, to take care of people who have destitute families, who have died in the pandemic in India, and so done a lot of work. At this point in time, though, I'd like to get the program going and just bring up, first of all, the district attorney, the attorney for San Francisco, Jesse Jackson, to say a few words.
Thank you so much. It is such a tremendous honor and privilege to stand here with so many community leaders and with a lifelong inspiration, the Reverend Jesse Jackson. I grew up watching him raise awareness and fight for civil rights in the south side of Chicago. And here we are decades later, and he continues to lead efforts in San Francisco, in Chicago, and around the world for civil rights, for inclusion, for equity, and for safety for all people, no matter their background, color, or creed. It is a tremendously important issue that we come together today to address. As District Attorney of San Francisco, it is my responsibility to make San Francisco safe for all. When we look at what's happening to our brothers and sisters in India and from India around the world, we know that we cannot be safe until we are all safe. We cannot be safe until everyone has access to health care and to vaccines and to a shelter over their head. And when we see the tragedy unfolding thousands of miles away, we must remember that we are part of that global family. We must stand together for safety, and it is an honor and a privilege to be here in solidarity with all of you on Juneteenth to demand action immediately to support people who are dying every day in India. Thank you.
And now from the city of San Francisco, John McKnight is the community liaison and group coordinator at the COVID Command Center.
Good morning. Reverend Jackson, thank you, sir, for the opportunity to stand by you today on this historic day. Thanks to the good work of our mayor and the city people of San Francisco, we have one of the lowest COVID rates in the nation, and yet we recognize that worldwide COVID rates remain very high, as well as vaccination low in many nations, lower than 5%. India somewhere just around 1%. The inequity of the vaccination distribution worldwide needs to be addressed. We're grateful to be here today to take our part in seeing this inequity is taken care of and all the people in the world have access to this necessary medicine. Thank you for the opportunity to be here.
And now I have the great pleasure to introduce Dr. Vijay Prabhakar. He's a public health administrator, the global ambassador for the Rainbow Push. He also serves as the national chairman of the American Association of Multi-Ethnic Physicians, and is the president of the World Federation of Tamil Nadu. So our cohort in crime and our chief, Dr. Prabhakar.
Thank you. I think, as everybody said, today is a historic day. And all the people who are going to speak today and showcasing India's efforts to help, the diaspora's efforts to help India are here. And these are people who walk the talk. Like MR, who's known as a man of resonance, a man of resources. He has raised through his agencies nearly $10 million for India COVID relief. We want to salute you, Mr. Rangaswami, for your indefatigable efforts. And he has also founded Indiaspora, which is a global network of Indian leaders for not-for-profit causes in USA and in India. And today, we have with us the living legend, Reverend Jesse Jackson, who's the name who's brought us all here together. And by his actions, you know that he was the one who was started and worked and walked with the great Martin Luther King Jr. And such a privilege, sir, for what you're doing for us here and in India. We are really indebted to you for your efforts. A man at his age, the way he's taken this need for help, this crusade to help India during COVID relief is simply incredible, sir. You have inspired us, and we proudly say we are Indian Americans, but that means nothing. But this man at his age has taken us through the nook and corner of this country, has spoken to President Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris to get the vaccines to India, and he did! And We did it, not anybody else. Even though the Indian government and the ambassador and others tried their best, but community diplomacy, led by Reverend Jackson, triumphed. And now we are all here gathered to say, sir, you need to push Biden and Harris to the next level to make that 2 million, at least 20 million COVID vaccines in the next 60 days. And you can do it. Only you can do it, Reverend Jackson. You did it with intellectual property rights. You did it with the Defense Production Act. Those are vital ingredients to increase the vaccine supplies in India. But today, we are making a plea through you to President Biden and Kamala Harris to make this happen to India. If India is protected, the rest of the world is protected, and we are having a third pandemic. So all we'd like to do is the great work that Rainbow Push is doing globally, and here we are part of your journey, and we will continue to nurture your efforts and look up to you as the lighthouse of hope, not only for us, but the whole globe and African countries, India, and everywhere else. Thank you.
Next up, we have Khot. He's the president and CEO of Rely Services and serves as the national chair of the Indian American Business Coalition. He's also been a founding member and former president of the Federation for Indian Associations of Chicago. Neil?
Thank you, Amar, and I'm truly honored to be here in front of Reverend Jesse Jackson. Our journey started from Chicago, moving on to Atlanta, moving to Washington, D.C. He is relentless, and we are so proud. When no other leaders stood up for India, Reverend stood up. I mean, that deserves a big round of applause. Reverend stood up, and due to his efforts, I would say due to only his efforts, that the vaccines were released. Otherwise, there was a big diplomacy going on, but his push continued. We did it with breakfast times calls were being made, evenings calls were being made to Biden administration, and I have seen the man in action. And the results are here. Even when Narendra Modi, the Prime Minister, tweeted, he said the community did make an impact. So we do want to recognize that these efforts are not going to be wasted, and I also feel the day is not far when Prime Minister Modi and Reverend Jesse Jackson are going to have a meet, and we are working very hard behind the scenes to make that happen, because Reverend, you have to meet the Prime Minister, and these efforts have to be recognized. Apart from that, whatever he's doing to ambassador from India to US is also going to thank him very soon. He's waiting. He is just in New York right now. Otherwise, he wanted to make a thank you call for all your efforts. The call is going to happen very soon. So today, after the rally, when we come back, hopefully at 2 o'clock, we will make that call happen. The ambassador is equally eager to say thank you for all his efforts. So I think we have a great leader, a legend among us, and we are proud to share a dais with him. And the rally march against the bridge for Stop Hate Against Asian is equally an astounding march. And who better than an experienced person to lead the march? We had Mahatma Gandhi in India, and we have an equal person like Mahatma Gandhi, Reverend Jesse Jackson. Thank you, sir. Thank you for all that you do.
Thank you, Neil. Next up, we have Dr. Twin Green. She's the Executive Director of Link and Options, an Option Center in South Holland, Illinois, and has flown in all the way from Chicago. She serves as the ambassador for the Citizens Action Alliance for Behavioral Health. And yes, Dr. Twin Green actually has a twin.
And I did not have to pay him to say that. How about that? San Francisco, thank you for greeting Chicago. We are so happy to be here. And to the Reverend, I have always followed your leadership, admired your leadership. You have always been a man that stepped to the cause and not away from the cause. So this is another human rights and civil rights initiative that we are here to be a part of. And this is history being made again another day today. So for the behavioral health side of the cause, this is why I am asked to speak today. Because this is very important that we do not forget that when we have the COVID, we had COVID and all the needs for the vaccines, there's still the health challenges that everyone is still going to face afterwards, the after effects. And we need to make sure that as we are fighting for the cause to get vaccine over to India, that we also remember that those health care needs are going to need to be made and helped. And so that's where we come in. There is technology that's going to need to help with this, to make sure there's a good coordination of care. Telehealth is going to be very important during this time. It's important now. COVID really pulled the covers off of all of the needs that we have been saying for so long as a behavioral health provider, that things need to change. There are so many significant needs that had to be changed, and during this time, it was recognized, but there's still so much more to be done. The after effect of COVID is still present, and we want to make sure, as we're fighting for right now to get the vaccines and everything else, we cannot forget the people that are going to need that health care. And thank you so much. Love San Francisco.
Thank you, Dr. Green. And you're coming on one of our warmest days of the year, so it's a great time to be here. Next up, we have a young person who is so taken up with the cause that he flew all the way from Phoenix. And he's only 17 years old, but he thought he wanted to make a statement, so we invited him up. It's Satya Padmanabhan, who is the Student Wing Secretary of the World Federation for Tamil Youth. Satya?
Thank you for that introduction, Mr. Rangaswami. And Reverend Jackson, sir, it's very exciting to join you this morning as you rally support for India. And yes, I was born in Missouri about 16 years ago, and growing up, we finally have a dynamic presidency with President Biden. And it's just kudos to President Biden for showing us the way and bringing those vaccines to India. It means a lot, especially in these times. And because of this, I want to urge and say that 2 million doses are just not enough. It's amazing, and here's why that 2 million doses are not enough. Because a third pandemic, a third wave is about to hit India, and it's about to affect people like me, my generation, my brothers and sisters in India, and especially younger kids. And it is so critical that we need more doses as of now, because in these times, we need to urge President Biden, and we need to get 20 million doses in about 60 days. And of course, I just have to say, again, it is such an honor to be here, and 2 million doses is amazing, but let's push forward, strive forth, and get 20 million doses out there. Thank you all.
Thank you, Satya. Next up, we have Radhika Iyengar. She's on the board of a Silicon Valley organization called the Indus Entrepreneurs Tribe, and she's also a TED speaker. She's also a venture capitalist. Please welcome Radhika.
Thank you. It's such a pleasure to be here today. Honorable Reverend Jesse Jackson, it is such a big honor to be here in your presence. You are a walking legend. So, and on this day, on June 15th, I think we have our work cut out for us. What we've seen is that COVID has been a massive global ordeal. And while we're emerging from the pandemic here in the United States, we cannot forget our families, our brothers and sisters, our colleagues, our friends in other parts of the world, and India has been very hard hit. Today I wanted to share with you the work that the Indian Diaspora has done. I'm very, very personally grateful to be a part of Thai Silicon Valley, where we have been even more committed to doing more during the time of the pandemic and the second wave. We pledged and gave generously to fundraising drives both in the United States and in India, and we've contributed materially as well as financially. Vice President Harris recognized Indiaspora and the American Indian Foundation for their great work, and indeed, we're very grateful. Mr. Rangaswami, we appreciate your great leadership. But let's not forget that there are other organizations also doing their part, and so I belong to Thai Silicon Valley. And the Thai community worldwide rallied together to raise close to $3 million to help with COVID interventions through Give India. And I think that these collaborations and partnerships have really shown us that we are, in fact, all in this together. and that through global collaboration and unity and prioritizing those values globally, we can actually do a lot more. So I want to thank President Biden for doing what he has done, for providing vital medicines and vaccine as well for global distribution, but there is a lot more to be done. And so to President Biden, I'll ask you that we do need to do more, and that we need to close the divides in combating global health crises, such as this one and many more to come, and to also support a sustained effort to accelerate the distribution of vaccines in the hardest hit areas of the world. So let's keep India in our hearts and our prayers, but let's not forget that the work really remains to be done, and that we should build bridges not only in this current crisis, but through future endeavors. Thank you.
Next, we have Dr. Anurag Bairal. He's an adjunct professor of medicine and director of the Global Outreach Program at Stanford Center for Biodesign. And he's also a professor in the Stanford Graduate School of Business. And he is a faculty fellow and lead for technology innovation. And he's also happens to be the president of the Bay Area chapter of SEVA International that's done tremendous work during the COVID crisis. Anurag?
What an honor for me to be here. Reverend Jackson, I grew up reading stories about you, and to be on the same stage with you is just a surreal experience. This crisis, COVID-19, has been the one where haves and have-nots have really, the difference has really widened. Not only in India and Africa and other places, but right here in our own community. SEVA International is a Hindu faith-based organization which primarily works in local communities across the US and as in other countries. We have 22 chapters. And in the first initial wave of COVID-19, most of our work was focused right here in the US in the underserved community, communities. Hundreds of thousands of people have benefited from our work last year. But when the second wave hit in India, we realized that we all had to come together. So we engaged hundreds of partners in the African American community, in the Asian American community, in the Indian American community, and the broader American community to raise $22 million and counting. And this would not have been possible without the support of all Americans. And we've been able to send 10,000 oxygen concentrators, 40,000 pulse oximeters, 12,000 humidifiers and other devices. But the work is not done. The work for us in the US is not done. Work for us in Africa is not done. Work for us in India is not done. We need to prevent the next wave that other speakers talked about. And we need to actually work together with our partners, including the administration. And I really want to echo what everybody else has said. We do need to send 60 million doses of vaccines to India, because when we save lives there, we will be able to make more of the vaccines being produced in India available for the rest of the world. Thank you so much.
Next up, we have Girish Bukai. He runs, he's the CEO of the IIT Madras Foundation that helped raise a lot of money and bring awareness to the problems in the Tamil Nadu region as well. So Girish.
Thank you, Amar, and Reverend Jackson. It is an honor and a pleasure to be with you today on this historic day. So couldn't be more proud and more honored. IIT Madras is one of the premier engineering institutes in India, and we are lucky to have almost 10,000 alumni here in the United States. When this pandemic hit, and it was personal for many, many people this time, especially late April, early part of May, the alumni community got together and said we have to do something about it. And with collaboration with MR and also with many other organizations, we launched a fundraising campaign within a day. And within 48 hours, we hit our first $1 million. And within the next 1 or 2 weeks, we actually crossed $2 million. And we got an opportunity to work with a number of Tamil organizations here. And eventually more money was raised. And the thing that we liked at this time was we had people that could actually deploy them at the right places in India, the folks that were in charge of COVID relief. And we could also get a report on how things were deployed and how they were used, which made a lot of satisfaction, also comfort level to our donors. As Mahatma Gandhi once said, the greatness of humanity is not being human, but being humane. That's what people did this time. They actually ran away. You can see the empathy and compassion with the broader community, and as long as you provide a forum to make an impact, people stepped up quite well. But what we realized, as many speakers pointed out today, is that this problem cannot be localized. The COVID virus doesn't stay in one place. You cannot put a sign and make it stay. But rather, we have to contain it globally. The need in India is incredible at this point. The Biden administration has done a lot of stuff already, but it's not enough. So on behalf of the IIT Madras alumni community, I call on President Joe Biden, Vice President Kamala Harris, and the entire administration to do everything that they can in order to bring vaccines and other necessary supplies to people in need. And every person in India needs it, as well as other parts of the world. So let's make that happen. And what we have shown is together, if we put our mind to it, if we work together, we can do wonders. In this case, we will do it. And Reverend Jackson, with your leadership, I'm sure we will prevail definitely. Thank you.
And last up, we have Dr. Zenobia Sao. She serves as the Women's Chair of the Congressional Multi-Ethnic Advisory Task Force and has flown all the way again from Chicago to join us. Dr. Sao.
Good morning, San Francisco, and thank you for this warm welcome. I'd just like to say to Reverend Jackson, you are a demonstration of showing the world who is our neighbor. Our neighbor is not just the person next to us, but we live in a global society, and he has risen to the cause on so many occasions to be a neighbor to the world, and starting the initiatives that not only bring attention, but bring action and results. And so that's the kind of leader that we need. And as we say, what's happened historically, be it George Floyd, be it Vincent Chin, and all those back, we have learned that we are all involved. We are each other's neighbors, and that it's important that we come together and fight the cause, the good cause, to make a difference in the world. I am Dr. Zenobia Sowell from Chicago, and I am the chair of Bethel Mennonite Community Church. We have initiated or applied for a program that will bring attention to the behavioral health services condition. There's fallout after COVID. We're not over it. We are still fighting it in healthy and hopefully wise ways, but our purpose is to bring a program to the state of Illinois that's supported by our congressional leaders to provide digital support to the agencies who are treating the patients who are suffering and who have suffered, not just because of COVID, but in the past, even more so now, to bring that attention and to bring health and hope, as Reverend Jackson champions. Keep hope alive. We must keep hope alive because without hope, we have nowhere to go. So we just thank Reverend Jackson for that. And our program will bring help to the agencies. We're working with 20 different agencies who currently provide behavioral health services to their constituents, to their communities, and the digital divide or the digital help to bring those services to the patients will help. And so I won't say more, but thank you all.
So just want to wrap up this part of the program by saying you've listened to so many Indian organizations here, Indian American organizations, who've done so much during COVID relief, whether it's to supply oxygen, whether it's to create COVID care centers, whether it's to feed migrant workers, or even more to take care of people's families after they've passed away. So with that, I really want now to bring the man of the hour, Reverend Jesse Jackson.
One thing for such a kind and generous introduction, you made me feel awkward with all this accolades. I thank you for being so gracious and allowing us to serve you this time. I do want to say that this year, 40 years ago, we were in Square, across the street, Postmaster Square, more than 5,000 Asian children who've been locked out of the system, mentally and otherwise. And my spokesperson I know in the world to me, frankly. For the 40 years, Bush Wayne sang, Bush Wayne. Rangaswami, another one of those people fighters. Today, maybe saying this to the break. Let me make this observation. One, let's form a rainbow coalition. These issues transcend limitation of one stripe of the rainbow. The idea of pandemic is low for real. With America, oftentimes, America, Putin and Russia, Putin and Biden met there, they represent 7% of the world. Where the largest democracy is India. Rich soil, poor people, and brilliant people. The combination. So we look to leadership in this country. We're blessed to share the blessing with those who have less. That's our first obligation. We've been in Chicago, Atlanta, Washington, now San Francisco, we're going to New York, and we keep going until the headlines are gone, the pain is not left there. Headlines are left, the pain is not left. So one of my concerns there is that we're going to ratchet the heat on the Senate and Congress and keep the issue visible. Out of sight, out of mind. The other thing I would make a case I used to talk about, my grandmother used to make. You could buy a blanket on cloth, take old coats, dresses, and pajamas and stuff, rayon, cotton, and all that. She cut them out in pieces and put them on the bed. It looked like rags. You know, the same color. But she would wash them out, and then she would connect them together. This rags apart became a quilt thing to do the art and culture. So we have to patch these pieces together. Indian people, Asian people in the state, 500,000 in California, 300,000 in the Greater San Francisco area, 18 million Asian in America. They both the interests, not their fears, with the hopes, not their fears, with a better country. Part of our mission today. Dr. Bryant, that Ambassador Dr. I want to say to all of you today that we're having a rally at noontime across the street, Kim Murray, fighting Morrison. The name of our rally today. Unity rally.
Unity rally.
Well, I'll tell you what.
Solidarity in the struggle.
Huh?
Solidarity in the struggle.
So we want to have UN, I want some of you speakers, we're going to have a program. You give them what's important. That's all. You give it, you know how we got together 4 years ago, you give it right now. And we must always connect it right now with where it came from and move this forward. I find joy and delight in serving you. The methodology of Mahatma Gandhi, the big factor in our struggle in the south of our country. When I received the Gandhi Award several years ago, went to India. Three different occasions we've been in India. And each time I enjoyed it more and more. Including looking at the clock downtown in the whole world. Without a watch, right? Right? So, let us know that the million people who died in India will not believe me. If 30 million can produce strand that challenges the resident vaccine, how many strands come out of India? India today, Pakistan tomorrow. Good the next day. I'm saying some years ago, when I was on television one day, and they said, Chernobyl had a nuclear accident today. And they said it in a way that they have a problem. They're not sounding as good as we are. That's supposed to be Mile Island, you know. They're not like us. But Russia didn't have a problem. That afternoon, Europe had it. Next day, the local cows and organ had it. The world is not great. Keep moving. So I'm very happy today to join the rainbow. To be called, can't remember the rainbow. Yeah. Thank you very much. moving forward with the Rainbow Coalition did in this area. All you remember the Rainbow Coalition. The director is very able Reverend Joe. Take it over.
Reverend Jackson, could you talk about what inspired you when you visited India? Could you talk about what inspired you when you found the
What inspired you? What inspired you to help India?
So this is what I do. This is my makeup. South African 1979. And I'm not even looking like I can get in without notice. I'm sitting at the top. Got the airport and camera there. So, why are you here? I'm here to do the print. I don't want to see something right out of the airport. The church said, why are you here? I said, well, human rights on human beings, and human rights on one God sake. So, human rights on human beings. Think about this, why you can't get over class and race. The driver has it, the dribbler in trouble. Cookie has those who eat are in trouble. This makes no sense about living lives, in Pakistan, that means nothing to this area. We must, in fact, melt some of these lives and work together. We want to raise money to get medical supplies and immediately, not eventually, immediately. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You went to Calcutta in 2014.
Yeah.
And you met with the needs of Squash and you were there. How you see today's India in the 21st century, which is growing its right way, but there are so much going on around on the civil rights issue today. How do you feel that there's a contribution into this administration?
Democracy is not just a good word. Democracy must come who's up the aisle and educate. So the thing which we time trying to move off and give human beings moving justice. I think now that India is government stable, people are poor, too poor, land so rich, and in the world, we in that position. We will nothing is right.
Thank you, Reverend. Reverend, we're going to get one last picture with you, with the group on stage. All photographers are going to ask that you would kindly prepare yourselves. Oh, I'm sorry.
You left me out. Okay, so no problem. Before we go for a picture, which is going to be where we are getting arranged, this is a historical event for me to attend because the largest democracy, that is India, is being supported by the biggest democracy of the world. So I'm giving up responsibility of thanking. Well, this is not enough to thank everyone. This is not enough for me. I can say for sure, no thank you is enough. Should I continue? Okay. So it is in India, in Sanskrit it is saying that Vasudhaivam Kutumbakam. That means the whole world is a family. And thank you, Reverend Jackson, for making that Sanskrit saying so true and so valid for our young generation. We have been teaching our kids what is Vasudhaivam Kutumbakam. Today you said it. So thank you so much. I wanted to thank a lot of people who came on Friday morning, especially our dignitaries who flew from Chicago and Atlanta. So thank you, Pastor Joseph Bryant, of course, MR, Dr. Vijay Prabhakar, who actually arranged this everything and also gave me an opportunity to meet such dignitaries. I have to say, I've been used to seeing you guys on the TV, and it's such a pleasure to meet you in person. And because this press is here, I thank this press a lot for coming, and I hope you take this message to people. I want to thank Khot, Dr. Tween, in true sense she's Tween, youngster Satya Padmanabhan, Dr. Radhika Iyengar from Thai, Dr. Anurag Mittal, Girish Makhal, Dr. Zenobia, we got to know you. Thank you so much for flying all over to Bay Area. And of course, Parthivan Shanmugam, and a big round of applause again for true legend, Reverend Jesse Jackson. I take this opportunity to request everyone who sees us today or later on to take inspiration from this gentleman and take this vaccine drive ahead. On personal note from Indian Diaspora, one vaccine is one brother, one vaccine is one sister, one vaccine is one mother. So thank you for saving millions of brothers, sisters, and mothers and fathers, because it directly affects our family back there. And I always say, we always get this stress on our head when we call India, is everything safe? With your work and your initiation, we now don't ask that. We said, have you received the vaccines? So thank you so much for the press coming over, and I hope you continue to support this awesome, awesome initiation by this group of people. Thank you everyone for coming.
And now we're going to walk with Reverend Jackson. We're going to cross the bridge, Portsmouth Bridge, which has been renamed today to be the Jesse Jackson Bridge. Whoa!
We are going to, thank you so much. We're going to give everyone a chance to get some water and get ready for the walk over. We're going to walk around 11:30, so we'll take about 20 minutes just to get ourselves together. And we're going to walk over together in solidarity with our community here in Chinatown, as well as all of you delegates that have come. And I wanted to remind you, make sure that you join Rainbow Push, as Reverend Jackson shared. Join Rainbow Push, 41444. Text it to PUSH, P-U-S-H. Text the word PUSH to 41444. And again, we're doing our Unity March today and then our Unity Rally today. We're going to march across the bridge and gather together. We're going to march around 11:30 to get over to the program. Norman Fong, thank you for your help. To our committee, thank you.